Here's something that I call the profit pocket in business. Now, it might be a little bit different for every business, but this is something that I found to be very true in the businesses that I've been involved in. The profit pocket is not one specific point in time. It's not one specific day, but there is kind of a scale of like early profit pocket and late profit pocket. So you got to make sure that you're landing somewhere within that pocket and you're good to go. Now, let's go ahead and discuss what this actually is. So when you're in business, you have different new technologies that come out. You have different innovations. You have new tools, new concepts, new theories. There's always something new. And that's the thing that I love about business. I love to have all that new stimulation coming into my life because it's like, oh, wow, this is new and that's new and this new. And that's what drives business innovation. You have to always have new things being developed, new things being created, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to sell your product. Now, of course, there are some exceptions, just like with everything. The exception that you're going to have here is you're going to have some things that are just timeless, right? Like, for example, somebody invented rubber bands. Rubber bands are never really going to go out of business. You don't really have to change them or update them. It's just going to be a rubber band. You have something like tissues or Kleenex, right? Those things maybe can be updated in some ways or improved in some ways, but for the most part, it's just gonna stay as a Kleenex tissue. Now, sometimes you have a more high-tech business that's really, really sensitive to these little updates and dealing with AI and business consulting and business management, I help companies grow by showing them all these new things that are coming out. So it's very important that we get them into this pocket called the profit pocket. So what does it mean to be in the profit pocket? Let's talk about what the overall landscape looks like. You have the pioneers, right? The people who started something first. They were the first ones to do it. They definitely wanted to do it no matter what. They had no excuse. And we need these people, by the way. Then you have the people who are the early adopters, who are the ones that are like, okay, I've seen somebody else do it. They kind of figured out all the kinks and now I want to do it. And then you have the trailers in the back who are like, 5 years down the line, they're like, oh, maybe we should start using AI. It's like they're still not using it right now, right? What is it, 2024 right now? In 2029, 2030, they're going to be like, you know what? Maybe we should start using AI in some capacity. And so it's interesting to see where people fall into these. And trust me, like that's the most comfortable place to be as a trailer. Now, it is very uncomfortable to be a pioneer. And I would say the advantages that you have as a pioneer are actually marginal compared to being an early adopter. I think that is the sweet spot. That right there is the profit pocket. So let's kind of go through a life cycle of a new invention. Let's say AI was introduced to the market, right? We don't know anything about it. It's like this concept that just got introduced and we're like, okay, how can we apply this to business? And there's going to be an early adopter out there somewhere, right? This early adopter has a bunch of money. Maybe it's Google or Meta. And they're like, we're going to learn how to use AI before everybody else. Because to them, when you're playing at that level, when you're number one in the world or one of the top 3 or 5 in the world, the only way you stay ahead is by continuing to be a pioneer. But the thing about being the pioneer is that you have to have a lot of money and you have to be able to throw that money at this project and at this development. And the thing is, like, imagine it like being a window, right? And you're trying to jump through this window. And so the pioneer is the person that goes through the window first. And they're probably going to have to smash that window open. They're going to break the window. There's going to be broken glass everywhere. And the likelihood of them trying to climb out of that window depends on their ability to break through that glass. But when you break through glass, you might get hurt. So this person might be climbing out that window. They might get wounded, right? This pioneer is like taking all the battle scars for us. And so, yes, there is some nobility to being the pioneer. It's like, oh, I was the first one to do this, right? But is that nobility worth it? Like, does it really matter if you're the first one? What if you were the second one? Or what if you were the third one or the fifth one? Yes, it does matter in some cases, but I would argue that in a lot of business cases, there are many people who are willing to be the pioneer, and these pioneers are necessary. And in some industries, I am the pioneer, but I don't have to be the pioneer in every single industry. So you really, truly have to have a love for that industry and that product and that business if you want to be a pioneer, because the likelihood of you getting hurt and you getting damaged and stuff not working and you develop a new product and it just keeps breaking and people are upset because it's not working exactly how they expected, and now all these different things come your way because you were a pioneer. But being a pioneer is also partly having the ability to deal with these things and work through these challenges. So it's important. We need the pioneers. Our world would not exist without the pioneers, but not everybody has to be a pioneer. And so my proposal to you guys today is that if you're in an industry where you're not absolutely in love with it, like for example, AI, you might be running a social media marketing agency and that's what you love. You're a pioneer in that industry. You're willing to work hard and be a pioneer and get hurt and do whatever it takes, right? But you're not a pioneer in AI and you just want to use AI to make as much money as possible out of your existing business. So what do? You get into the profit pocket. You don't want to be a pioneer. You don't want to be a trailer, the guy that's going to use it in 5-6 years, right? When it's already old news and everybody has like overtaken them. Everybody's business has already outpaced that person's business. But you want to be in that profit pocket. And there's something so special about being in that zone right there, right where you're an early adopter, because you're still early enough to where the technology is finally advanced to the point to where it does make sense. It does work. It's easy enough to use. We can use this technology to really have an impact on our business. But at the same time, we're not this pioneer that's getting hurt and, like regulators coming after them and the government coming after them and the competitors are trying to sabotage them because they're going into this new space. And like this whole mess can be avoided if you allow the pioneers who truly love that industry, truly love that product, truly love what they're doing to do those things. And then you become an early adopter. Now, I'm not saying back away from a challenge. That is not my message at all. I'm saying that if you are not truly in love with an industry, the likelihood of you failing just because you gave up mentally is very, very high. Now, if you're extremely determined and you have a strong will and you think that you can just push through it, props to you, go for it. I think that you can also do that. But if you are not absolutely in love, or you think that, hey, maybe along the way, my efforts would be better redirected towards my core business, let's say the social media marketing agency, versus me trying to pioneer this industry and figure everything out, maybe it's better for you to be an early adopter, because at that point, things have been figured out, they've been smoothed over, and these things begin to work to the point where you can just plug and play into your existing business. So you take the services and the products and everything that was created here. They've done all the testing, they've done the implementation, they've built a track record of success, and then you can come in and pick and choose the ones that are most effective for your business. Now, as your business grows and as you're making a lot of money and you have money for research and development, I definitely recommend being a pioneer, at least in a couple things, because it is very fun. It's so cool to be that first person that discovered something, or the first person that tried something or achieved something. It's a really fun place to be, but just remember, it's not as easy as being an early adopter, and it's very important that you have the stance of being an early adopter in most technologies in your business. I would say 80% of the technology in your business you should be an early adopter in. And the 20% that you do want to develop, that you do want to cultivate, that you do want to pioneer, that's where you go in as a pioneer. And that's where you start developing things. But remember, it's not going to be as easy and as free-flowing as becoming an early adopter. So anyways, guys, that is the profit pocket in business. You want to make sure that you're always sitting in that early adopter stage where you're coming in early enough to where you're not late and you're ahead of your competitors, but you're not coming in so early that you're getting hurt, and you're not coming in so late that you're too late. So anyways, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.